Hello everyone, and welcome to this walkthrough of a track I recently composed for Orchestral Tools Maenad Soundpack. The verrophone, aka glass harp, has a rich celestial and ethereal texture, and so with the processed sounds of this Orchestral Tools pack, you have some patches that will enable you to create pads and textures to complement your music. I tried to combine them to come up with something spooky for Halloween. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. That was the track We Were There Too, which I composed with mostly the Maenad patches. So the first patches I want to talk about are the unprocessed verrophone with its different articulations, and then we've got a couple of plucked processed patches that I want to talk about. So the unprocessed verrophone, it has this classic sustained glass harp sound, which just keeps going on forever. I chose this portato articulation. Of course, there are many others. That's staccato. This is plucked. And I came up with that characteristic opening sound by playing with the pitch shift quite dramatically. So I combined that verrophone sound with this plucked processed patch called Subsequent Coincidence, and another plucked articulation called Simplifying Definitions. So you find them all under this plucks menu. This plucked processed patch sounds like this on its own. And the interesting thing is that when you go into the mixer of the sign player, you can play around with the different components that make up this patch. So it's kind of like, muting certain microphones. I muted this glue, but I'm going to show you what each of the individual components sounds like. So that's the very dry attack, and then there's core with a little bit more resonance, fading out, and then the space, like a very distant microphone in a resonant, reverberant hall. So that's what I combined. Just to show you the last one, glue. So that's the one I left out. So you can play around with those different parameters to customize your sound. The next group of processed sounds that I want to show are pads. So the pads I used Carrying Attempt with Grain Studies and Obscure Futurity. So combined, they sounded like this. So that last one you hear coming in is the obscure futurity. I want to talk a little bit about this one first. It's kind of got this hollow sound because in the mixer I just used the space and muted this core. So if I had switched on the core as well, the sound would have had more substance, but I wanted it to stay kind of hollow and floating in a way. The other patches also have different components making them up. So this one is called Echoing Glass Harp Staccato. Just gonna pull it up here. So those are my patches, and then I had a texture added to the whole mix to kind of give it a bony, skeletal kind of feeling, I could say. So this patch is called Domino Effect. Which is a great name because it kind of sounds like its name. And I switched off the drive because otherwise it wouldn't sound so bony and skeletal as I intended. So yeah, it would just kind of have this distortion going on. And that's the beauty about these processed sounds, is there's so many combinations and possibilities. So those are pretty much the Maenad patches that I used. Lastly, I would like to talk very briefly about what I used to give low range to this whole track. I wanted it to be a bit more cinematic, but of course I could have used bass sounds from the Maenad itself. But so I had some strings and piano, and for that I have this growing strings from Arkeys plus the sub piano. So it just has this interesting extension to a real life piano and just makes it more cinematic and more suitable for creating tracks of this nature. So that was my walkthrough for the Maenad Soundpack. As used in my track, we were there too. If you enjoyed it, then check out the rest of the Orchestral Tools sound packs and the different demos so that you can get maybe inspired to create your own track and have fun with it.